Welcome, everybody, to From a Certain Point Askew, the fastest-growing Star Wars podcast in the Republic. Except for we're last place in Tatooine, Batuu, Dagobah, Jakku, Corellia, Endor, and Earth. I am the Angry Ginger, host of this show. I am 40% more Metachlorians, and across from me, laughing at my dad jokes, is Neighbor Cole.
Hello. Thank you for having me on the podcast, Jason, the all things Star Wars
I sound angry,
guru.
don't I?
You do sound a little angry, but not more than normal. We have a third micer coming in from the Skype lines. He's the known as Darth Mathias around these parts, but we like to call him Matt. Hey, Matt.
It's great to be here, guys.
I don't know what that was.
Was he Kermit the Frog?
No, that was the Mon Calamari guy when he lands at the port. Remember he's talking, he's like...
It really was.
I want some fuel.
Oh, I can't wait to get to his dialogue. Oh, it made me so happy.
I wanted to say at first I thought that was the guy from Sons of Anarchy, his voice. It's the squid guy, right? The guy with the squid coming out of his face?
Oh, the one that sat down at the inn, you mean, and had the heavy breathing?
Yeah.
I was trying to picture that, too. It's the same. You're talking about he was in the episode with Bill Burr.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I wanted to say it was him, but it wasn't.
Yeah, all right. I didn't look up to see who the
I haven't seen who that is yet. I've seen some of the other characters, but not him. Oh, really quickly, I just want to tell you guys about this dope new website. It's called FromACertainPointOfSkew.com, where you can find all your FactBapod needs. You can also find us on Twitter at FactBapod and email us at factbapod@gmail.com.
Matt, how would one spell FactBapod?
FACPAPOD.
So just like it sounds, phonetically.
It's almost like it's an acronym, like from a certain point of skew. If you take the first letter from every word and you put them together.
You didn't have to be a Jedi to figure that out.
Baby Yoda genius stuff right there.
All right, so go to the FactBapod website, check everything out. Where do you find us on our Twitter spheres?
At FactBapod. I shared that already. You weren't listening. It's okay. But I did want to point out also that on our website, the top post when you go to our website is the breakdown of the rules for our Dark Saber giveaway. Which is, I want to run through the rules real quickly, but I wanted to point out, first of all, that if you go to @DaveMeyer on Instagram, he has posted a video, which we'll share on our Twitter feed as well, kind of showing off the Dark Saber that he created, and it looks pretty sweet.
Pretty good.
Pretty sweet. Yeah, he's got his shirt on, unfortunately. And he's not dual wielding. I thought maybe he would.
I think if we pester him enough, we'll get him in the garage. No shirt, Jedi sound music, yeah.
I think he'll do it, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to win that fine specimen, you can go retweet one of our episode posts. That gets you an entry. If you with your own comments or feedback about the show, you get 2 entries. If you contribute to Maul's bag, you get 2 entries. And I've decided I really want some reviews. So we're going to give you 5 entries if you write a review on iTunes, Stitcher, whatever. So we're really looking for some reviews. So get after that review, send us a screenshot of it, and you get some bonus entries out of that. And then one entry will be picked at the end on episode. I don't remember what episode of ours it'll be, but it will be the last episode where we review the last episode of this season, and we will give it away.
Thanks for that unilateral decision, Matt, and thanks for including me and Jason in that 3 to 5 bump.
Very Darth Mathias of you.
Yeah, we would have appreciated 3 people on this podcast, but Matt's making decisions.
20 minutes ago, he was in his bedroom smashing his sword against the dresser. I'm making decisions.
And if the listeners only knew how many shirtless men with lightsabers you've had in your garage.
Yeah. Okay, coming up on the show, we've got a question of the week. We've got some news. We've got the episode breakdown, Chapter 11 in the Heiress. Nothing in the Maul bag, and that's your fault, listener. Get your crap together.
We should have some new listeners coming to the show. I've been pumping blood into our work stream, people that we work with. We got some Star Wars geeks that we work with. I've been sharing the show, getting some information out there, showing off the Dark Saber.
Are they interested more that because they're Star Wars geeks or because you do a podcast? Well, I'm sure you mentioned me too, but you're giving them the information. So
I didn't tell
them
about
wait
you
a minute
at all.
Oh, okay, good.
Just
so they just think you do the podcast.
I said I do everything. It's my entire show.
Wow.
I got two friends of mine that I let on.
Perfect.
You tell them it's a real struggle. I spend all my nights working on it.
If we were to really be honest, I probably do the least amount for this show.
Do you even read the notes?
I read them.
Oh, do you have them up? Okay.
About 5 minutes before the show starts.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. I'm here for humor, and that's it.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. We've got quite a bit to get into. We've given the Dark Saber giveaway. We want you to win it, so please do what Matt told you to do. We've got a T-shirt we're going to give away in a little bit. But first, the question of the week. If you were tasked with getting Mando's helmet off, how would you do it?
after watching this episode, maybe all you need to do is get him to migrate away from that particular sect of his religion or creed.
Change his religion. Yeah.
But the other way I would consider doing it is I think I just walk up to him and say, "Hey, Mando, if you take off your helmet, I'll give you this rock." And he'd be like, "Okay."
His negotiating skills aren't up to par.
No.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
He did that again in this episode too.
Yeah, he just
and
overpaid for everything.
It was almost like, "Oh, you have a mission for me, do you?" Like he was so right into it.
1,000 credits for some bubble gum to fucking to tie the fucking Razor Crest back together.
Well, that's all you need. Just picturing the end of the episode.
So I'm gonna steal off of Matt's thought process there. I think I would try to forcefully use his own flamethrower to heat it up. So I'd have to turn his arm in on
just
himself.
Cook his head?
Yeah, and then just heat it up, and then he gets so hot underneath the helmet, he'd have to pull it off himself. Either that, or I'd go with the classic Friends move, turkey baster around the neck. Like when Joey gets his
he
head,
had a turkey in his head?
There you
like
go.
when Joey gets his head stuck on the turkey. I'd try that.
I would just use Mace Windu's lightsaber.
Okay. Worked for his
Right.
That's brutal.
worked once in the past.
You don't want to just remove the helmet. You're going to take the head with it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because apparently one has to be with the other, so it's off.
It's off. Guys, I got it.
I turn around, Cole standing there with a can opener.
And it's like after you got the helmet on, it's like trying to get a broken light bulb out of the socket. You got to stick a potato onto the bottom of the head and then twist it off. Or an onion. Your preference. Whatever galaxy you're in.
You just like lay it on the ground. Baby Yoda will eat it.
That's true. He'll put anything in
I
his
thought
mouth.
for sure you were going to offer him some crate meat, but not so much.
I feel like Baby Yoda is like, like if you die in your home and no one's there to feed your pets, they'll eventually just start eating your body. Like if Mando just dies on the Razor Crest, Baby Yoda's just going to eat everything but the Beskar.
Yeah. He'd start with your digits. He'd start with your toes.
Right.
In case you come back to, come to.
I don't know. I think he'd go right for the eyeballs. That crazy little bastard's into those squishy round
That's true.
things.
That's a good point.
You never really see Yoda, the mature Yoda, eat anything. So apparently, I wonder if Yoda had the same proclivities. Like, just be sitting there in his room, like, eating spiders.
Some eyeballs.
The impressions only get worse as we go on, folks. We're just going to power right through this. Jesus, have mercy.
All right, so we've got Mando's helmet off.
Got his helmet off.
Let's move on.
Let's get going on this thing.
All right, in news bits, we've got 3 things we want to hit on. We'll just have a discussion. I'll give you the line here, and then go ahead and talk about it. So the first one was, I think it was the information comes from like the Star Wars archives. Like, was it like book 4 or something?
Yeah. So I wasn't aware of this series. It's like every time I find another one, I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Another one?
I know.
I'm gonna fill my house with all these damn books. But yeah, this one is from I guess the 1999 to 2005 prequel era.
Mm-hmm. So he, in there, George Lucas, I guess there's interviews with him and discussions about what his ideas were, and it would be what his idea of the next set of, after the prequels, when he did the sequel 7, 8, 9, what they would be, right?
Yes. Heavy Darth Maul involvement.
Right. So, which makes you, because I know he was heavily involved in the Clone Wars for most of it, up until I guess Disney bought it and they canceled it and then came back and redid the last season. But so that tells you that even when he chopped him in half in Episode 1 and went in the Clone Wars heavily, he knew he was gearing up to bring him back as a baddie. And that makes me wonder, like Disney, I mean, they're aware of all this, right? So they use him in Solo a little bit. You can see like there's elements of like gearing him up to be that
Big
villain.
bad.
That you would see on screen again, even back then.
It doesn't jive with what happens in Rebels, but this was pre-Rebels.
True.
So this is him, having him live on beyond that. And he's got this apprentice, which I was not familiar with, Darth Talon, who is a gal who looks like she came off the cover of like a seedy-looking death metal album cover or something like that.
Really.
So I thought that was an interesting look that they were going for with her. But the fact that it was meant to be like Darth Maul is kind of this, from what I understand, like kind of this criminal underworld leader, which is a little bit in line with the Crimson Dawn thing that we saw in Solo. Yeah. I love that concept. I love all the talk of doing kind of that underworld stuff. Like you had mentioned before with all the scripts he had written for that Coruscant.
Star Wars Underworld.
Yeah, that stuff sounds... That's why I'm excited for the Cassian Andor series, because I think you're going to see a lot of that element, and that's the kind of Star Wars I'd love to see.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think they're still pulling elements from either stuff that didn't exist or the ideas. I think we'll still see them one way or another. But yeah, we definitely didn't see Darth Maul and Darth Talon as the two villains. You know, I don't think we missed out on a lot, though, do you?
By not having them in the sequel trilogy?
Sure.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I have my hangups with the sequel trilogy as far as how it all came back to Palpatine anyway, but I don't know that it had to be him. I just like that element of having it be a little bit different. It probably doesn't really jive with the rest of the saga because the rest of the saga is so big. Like they're constantly going to all these places. Whereas if you have this underworld that you're really focusing on, that to me seems like a smaller, more intimate storytelling than what the Skywalker series was about. So it might be a little out of place.
You imagine a whole movie that just takes place in the underworld of Coruscant? They never left the planet.
How do you guys figure he would have brought him back? I mean, obviously he got cut in half in episode 1, right? So like, how do you think they would have brought Darth Maul in as the big bad villain?
In the Clone Wars, he's brought back with what are their names? The sisters or whatever. They're like fucking
yes, and they essentially give him at first. He's got like these like crazy like spider legs and stuff. So they essentially salvaged his upper half. By the time you get to Rebels, he's got a full on body. But that's how the Clone Wars brought him back.
Right.
And that's why everybody was confused when he showed up at the end of Solo. Everybody's like, what if they hadn't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, they wouldn't know what was going on.
Right.
I guess I never jived that together with the timelines. Timelines always throw me. That's one of the reasons I never liked the Terminator movies. I was like, could never pay attention or keep track of timelines.
I hated the last one, but we talked about that recently.
We talked about it. According to this new interview, the trilogy would have started off a few years after Return of the Jedi, with Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker trying to rebuild the Jedi Order from scratch and training a future generation of heroes. These films would have concluded with the late Carrie Fisher's Princess Leia Organa being revealed as the chosen one. Yeah. So it's kind of like an alternate universe, alternate ending to this story of the Skywalker saga.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of hard to wrap it up, though, when you don't have a main female lead actor for that.
Well, yeah, and then like these take place a couple years later, but by the time they got around to doing any of these, he decided to sell them to Disney, so that story wasn't going to work anyways. They were all in their damn 60s dying.
It's interesting.
Wow.
It's interesting.
Too soon?
Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Much love. It's really interesting to see where his vision was going, though. You know what I mean? Like, and then what it turned into. So it's interesting, and all the original scripts, and then like all the rewrites, and before something becomes a movie, and before something gets adapted onto film, it goes through this huge process. So it's usually not very true to its original body of work, anyways, right?
Did you ever? I don't know if either of you did. There was a few years ago. I think Marvel did it actually. Was when it was originally called The Star Wars, and the story was quite different. Marvel adapted that into a comic book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I read the first couple of issues, and it was Star Killer instead of Skywalker. Right. There was, the characters all, you could see a little bit of it, but like I've got this huge there's a couple coffee table books, but also there's like the George Lucas biography, but the one coffee table book on A New Hope like goes through. And it's really interesting on what all went into actually, the elements of creating the first movie. And they just, it shows like pages of the original scripts and the rewrites and, different elements that he was working on and how it advanced and changed different things. So like you said, like a different timeline. It was really interesting, like to see that book though. I think you can get it like in a full trade now. It was different, but if you're like a Star Wars fan, you like those those nuances. I like to see, after reading about it, and then they put it on, on the page, you can actually like visualize certain things. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember them saying something about how he was tinkering around with Luke Skywalker, for instance, and he was going to make him older at first, and then they thought about making him younger, and he kept kind of playing around with where he wanted his journey to start. But yeah, I think what happens too with a lot of this is you see a movie, so you've seen it, 5 times, however many times you've seen it plus. Then you hear about, they might have done this or they might have done this, and all that stuff sounds like, well, yeah, I'd like to see that too.
Yes.
So it doesn't necessarily mean it would be better. I mean, and I think something we'll talk about, we mentioned this on our chat, and we'll talk about probably once we get out of the Mando season, is like the Colin Trevorrow alternate script for episode 9. Like we'll get into that a little bit, because of what we got with 9, and because we were left wanting a little bit some other things. That script sounds so appealing, but could they have pulled it off for an entire episode, entire movie? I don't know.
Like, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because I know we got stuff to get to, but one of the gripes that I want to deal with is like when I watched Rise of the Skywalker last week, and like the whole idea of like Palpatine being in it, and like Rey was going to be either a Palpatine, a Kenobi, or a Skywalker. Mm-hmm. It was like all that was talked about since the Force Awakens, right? So everyone was like, "Oh no, it's this and this." And they were trying to figure out. It was like the fan theorizing, the speculations that we do all the time. And he does that. He gives you one of those three that the fans wanted, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're throwing a fucking fit."
You picked the wrong one.
Right, but if it would have been another one, would they have been just as pissed off? No,
sure.
How was she related to the Kenobi? So like I was watching it, and I'm like watching it like just through like this lens of like I just want to enjoy the movie, and I did. But like all these little elements of things that like JJ threw in there, and some people will call it fan service or whatever, but he did exactly what people on the internet were bitching about and wanted, and then they still bitched and complained and hated the movie.
It's never enough. You're never gonna please everybody.
People will always complain about things, and I mean, it's like they've pointed out with how Empire. People didn't like it at first when it came out. They were not happy with the with the cold ending, and so
I didn't know that. Yeah, when was it The Last Jedi came out? They were all over the internet. They were showing like reviews of Empire Strikes Back and the comparison of like how the fans hated it, the press hated it. Like, and to me, I grew up. It was just a beloved movie.
Right. Yeah, and to this day, most people, the vast majority or whatever, the highest percentage favorite movie would be Empire.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting at the table. That just kind of sparked a little memory. We were playing Monopoly for 3 hours the other day, me and the kids.
It's not like you can play for 30 minutes.
I know, right? And they were sitting there arguing about Star Wars lore, and it's amazing how little they know about the movies. It's just like they're talking about, like, who cut off Luke's hand in Empire Strikes Back? I'm like, this is the easiest fucking softball question in the world. Right. And Cole's answering it wrong. And like I can't remember who he said. And I was like, no. I said, you children aren't even mine. Get out of my house. Like, go play in the street. Get hit by a car. Like, you can't answer that question.
Take my podcast shirt off. You don't deserve to wear it.
Yeah, that's right. Burn that. Burn it right now.
You have not taught them well. You better
we need
step
to go
up
back
your game.
I know we need to go back.
I mean, you put all of your life into creating this podcast and doing all the notes and editing it and releasing it. And your kids know nothing.
All this hard work for nothing.
Okay, so this Leslye Headland series, we've talked about this before, and she's the one that was brought in to be the showrunner for possibly not an alternate timeline, but the info was it takes place like outside of like the Skywalker timeline. We're not sure what era it takes place in. Was any of the information, because there was something I saw on the internet the other day that someone posted, and I clicked on it, and it was all the same thing that was sort of released originally, which was there's probably going to be a female show lead or several, but not all. It's not just going to be females. And then other than that, she's a showrunner, and we're not really sure what it is. So what's the new information on this?
It's not. There's not a ton new. Her quote was she said it's a pocket of the universe and a pocket of the timeline we don't know much about. She also went on to say that she looks at the Star Wars universe geographically. Right. And so she was thinking of the journey of how you navigate your way around it. She even said, there's a quote from her saying something about that when they were pitching it, she had this designer create the Indiana Jones red dot maps to kind of sell the people on what their vision was, which of course is this great throwback that I always appreciated about the Indiana Jones movies, those big dots moving when they'd fly someplace. But I think that was what it was more about, was just getting into a little bit more of how she's approaching it, that it is going to take place in a different time or place than we're accustomed to, which I'm real excited about. I think that was kind of it. In the past, she'd also mentioned how there's going to be like martial arts heavy, a lot more like hand-to-hand action, which will be interesting to see as well. And she said she's been working on it for over a year.
Yeah, it's been over a year now.
You just wonder when it's going to start.
Well, yeah, because I mean, there's speculation that they're fast tracking a Boba Fett series. There's been the talk of the Cara Dune getting maybe a limited series, her own spinoff. There was talk of, we've heard rumors about they're using the solo characters, but might not be an exact sequel, which we'll get to in a second. There's all this talk like Disney's rushing all this stuff, but then this one they're taking their time with, and they've just been working for a year on it. So I wonder what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to see a story take place kind of out of that realm. Like as much as I love the familiar stuff and we're accustomed to it and it's great, it would be cool to see something a little bit different.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be a female-centric lead, right? Or either the protagonist or the lead of the show is supposed to be female-centric. But she also made like a point to say, doesn't mean that there isn't going to be a place for everyone on the show. So it's going to might be female heavy or whatever, but which is like fine by me. I mean, if it's interesting, it's interesting. So
I think that's where some people started to suggest, is this going to be like Bo-Katan? Is that going to launch into this? Is this going to be Ahsoka? I don't think so. I think it's going to be something totally different.
Sounds like it. And if they're taking this long, maybe they're waiting for what's the new series that's coming out in January? Yeah, the High Republic. Maybe they're waiting for that to come out to kind of get a new feeling of, oh, look, this is different and new. Look, we have a show that's going along with it. So
it makes a lot of sense to tie those two together. So I could totally see that. Yeah. And I think that takes place about 200 years prior to all this stuff.
And last up in the news is Ron Howard was recently saying in an interview that there's no work being done on a solo sequel or series, but he says he believes there's definite interest that Disney wants the characters to be used, or there's something. And then there was also like a tweet recently that Kasdan, not Lawrence but his son, what was it, Jake, or I can't remember which one wrote it, had tweeted something about his ideas with like where the series would go, and I think he had tweeted the logos, the Hut logo, the crime family logos, right? So I think everyone's like teasing this out a little bit. There's no way that Ron Howard doesn't know. Like, if these guys want to use these characters again, and Howard came in and, like, to me, flawlessly came in and, fixed what he needed to do, worked really well, and, like, fast as hell with Disney. I mean, his daughter, we're going into her episode next. This is her second directed episode. If they want to stay with the Star Wars theme, family, why not have both of them direct the solo spinoff?
I like it. The Howards do a good job with Star Wars, as we're going to get into in a minute. So I'd be all on board for that. They still have, Alden Ehrenreich under contract for a couple more movies and all that kind of stuff. So it's out there, and he's talked about it. Ehrenreich's talked about wanting to do it again. So all signs are pointing to it happening at some point. It seems like it's just a matter of time.
Correct. I mean, if they want to use Darth Maul and the underworld, all of those elements they can bring together in one thing, or with all of these different shows, sort of like within the same 20-year span or whatever,
right?
They can really build that story up through different shows as well. So
yeah, you could have crossover. I mean, you could, could he show
works
up
for Marvel?
Yes, right. So could Solo show up in a Boba series? Of course. Could he? Kenobi probably not. I wouldn't think. Maybe Cassian. So I could see them doing that crossover, maybe just to get him going again, and then start something else, something new.
Cassian's long since been dead.
Well, no, but I'm saying in his series,
okay,
Solo would be that young. Like he would be, you know what I mean? It would kind of jive with when he was younger.
Correct.
I guess he'd be pretty young. It'd be like Rook. Yeah, it would work. There'd be about 4 years there where that would work.
Yeah.
Timelines.
That's okay.
All over
that's why you're quiet. We need a map.
I'm lost. Yeah.
You are here.
Indiana Jones map me.
Yeah.
We just talked about earlier.
All right, you guys want to get into this?
Absolutely.
Let's get into it. Yeah. Episode 3, season 2, the Heiress. What did I say last episode? Heiress?
Yes. All those harassment lawsuits are
directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, as we were talking about earlier. So this was initial impressions on your guys' end. Matt, you kind of came right out the gate, and what are you going to call it? Your favorite episode so far this season?
He loves to rub it into us because he's already has it watched by the time we wake up at 4:30 in the morning for work. He's like, it was really good. I won't say any more. Leaves the room. It's like...
I couldn't help myself. I was tweeting out about it. No spoilers, but kind of. It's good. Yeah, so there's a few things that I thought when I started with it was, one, I saw 36 minutes and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, come on.
That's the first thing I did too.
Yeah, so I was not happy because I know that includes the little intro and the end credits. So I'm like, what do we get, like 29 minutes here or something? So I was not happy about that. But then as I watched the episode, I forgot all about that because I just loved it. It was awesome. I think it ranks right up there with the best that they've done. It's certainly the best one this year. As much as I liked the first episode, that was mostly about Cobb. I thought this episode in general was better. Moved a lot faster. The pacing was just quick. Right. There were moments that I gasped. There were moments that I smiled, which when you're sitting there watching a show by yourself, you kind of feel self-conscious about.
With your earbuds in?
Yes,
so you're laughing and you're like, is anyone hearing me?
Exactly.
Try watching it in a room full of armed nuclear security officers. People are you're laughing, and everyone looks over at you.
Yep.
What's so funny? Asshole.
You watching the new Mandalorian? Yeah. Pull your earphones out. I want to watch. Okay.
And then the only other things I'd say, and I'll let you guys jump in, is when I saw the title, I immediately thought it's Bo-Katan. Like, I just thought, based on the title, I just felt like it had to be. Also, the fact that Katie Sackhoff had tweeted the day before saying, like, is it Friday yet? So that was kind of a bit of a tip. This episode just made me think I really wish I would have gone back and rewatched or watched some of the Clone Wars episodes I haven't seen, because I think this is such a Clone Wars like rewarding episode. If you're a fan of that series, or Rebels as well, you're all over this episode.
I meant to pull the episodes. Remember, I did that in 7 Days a Geek like a year or so ago. I pulled like all the Mandalorian centric episodes, so you could just go through, because they're like 2 or 3 episodes at a time per season.
Dark Saber.
Yeah,
what's that?
It's because of the Dark Saber.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, so I just have to dig that up again. Next episode, I'll put that on the show.
Perfect.
Did you guys notice the opening scene? There was some controversy right off the jump. Did you guys notice it? Based off of fact, but controversy. We're saying,
whether like we guessed right with the ship.
Well, you were always a big advocate that Baby Yoda and Mando cuddle when they nap.
They were sleeping separately.
They were all sleeping separately.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, he had to stay at the helm, and I think the Baby Yoda was giving him some space just in case stuff went on.
He got in trouble last episode, so they were on the outs a little bit.
He was on a no-knee still?
And he gets a couple of no-nos in this episode, too.
Yeah, he does. He's always a mischievous little devil.
Okay, so we open up in the ship. Like, the alert comes on right away. They're sleeping in the cabin, like you said, and
the Razor Crest is limping through space.
Yeah, and I love like how Mando, because like it's almost like watching a radio play where they've got to give you all the stage direction. Oh well, the ship's in bad condition, so we're gonna have to flutter down, and we don't know if the reverse thrusters are gonna work, but we'll give it a go. Let's see if it holds together.
Yeah.
Like, this is a lot of fucking dialogue. Just fucking hit a button, buddy.
And then you get the tower telling them, "Oh, you're coming in too hot." Yeah, no shit. I know I'm coming in too hot. I'm trying to concentrate here. You got the Apollo 13 re-entry going on.
Yeah.
Like he's sitting there burning it up in the atmosphere. He's just like, I like how he just rolls the dice. He's like, we might just incinerate in the atmosphere, but we're gonna give it a go.
We'll give it a go.
What do you say,
no
frog?
choice.
What do you say, frog lady?
Yeah.
Hold your babies. Let's go. Tie one on.
Yeah, and then she can somehow understand him when he's like, "I need your hands." But I love it because she keeps looking back. I'm like, you could have put that thing on the floor. It's just sitting there teetering on the seat, about to tip over.
Oh, I got the impression she was like watching it to make sure the little green one didn't find his way over there for a snack pack while they were going down.
That's true. But I thought it was because it was like about to fall out of the seat and bust all over the floor.
Well, he gets into the atmosphere and he misses the landing pad just a touch. Like
this is very like Taika Waititi humor here.
Mm-hmm.
Crashing into the water.
Yeah, cause we made it. Just got a light touchdown, and it just fucking tips over and falls in the water.
Falls in the water, and then they get the big AT-AT, whatever, the walker-looking crane that pulls them out of the water.
Now, the rumor was when they were doing concept art originally for Star Wars that the AT-ATs were based on those large shipment cranes in California, which I guess Lucas at some time had denied.
Yes, he debunked it, but there were some loading dock cranes that are real close to the Lucasfilm place in northern San Francisco, and so that's why everybody kind of took that. By the way, those things are in a very early scene in Solo.
Right, yeah, in Corellia.
Yeah, so we have technically seen them before, but to see them up close like that moving, I thought that was pretty sweet.
And I like the idea, like, even if they weren't based on it, that's one of those things that, like, I think has stuck around, like, Lucasfilm lore, So they're like, oh, why not use it? So now we see that. And this is the favorite laugh I had, though, was the exchange between, your buddy that you talk like, and he's like, can you fix it? I can make it fly. And then he goes, well, I'll put fuel in it. And then he looks over at it, and Mando's walking away. It was such an awesome way they framed it because it just kept going. You hear him in the background go, if the thing still holds fuel. Started laughing.
The fact that they show him from the entry point when he's looking up like, what in the hell is this? It just, that whole sequence was pretty
And
bad.
it's coming down like a fucking meteor, and this guy's just watching it. I wonder what's going to happen here.
The Razor Crest. Yeah, the Razor Crest has seen better days for sure.
Oh, man. Like, this thing,
it's surviving,
we'll get to it.
You were worried about it being destroyed, and it still could, but it is surviving a lot right now.
He needs an Ugnaught, and he needs an Ugnaught fast.
Yeah, another one. So old Mando and Baby Yoda and Frog Lady start heading down the dock, and then you get the first groaner of the episode. You get the Battletoads reunite.
So that made you groan? You didn't get a little flutter in your chest?
No, I did not.
The airport reunion scene that they
It really was. That's what I was going to say.
Fluttering, like they gave each other's butterfly kisses.
Yeah, I was waiting for like the slow motion like run to hug each other.
I thought it was going in that direction. They actually
and like there's a
30-foot
leap in the air as they like reach each other.
And then, like, little do you know, as soon as like the insemination happens, the female eats the male of the species. Like, it's like
she eats his head right there on the dock.
Bites it off.
Mando's like, what about my information?
Yeah. Oopsies.
Well, your baby ate enough here.
And she just goes right into the
I
hot
owe you
tub.
nothing.
Right into the hot tub, fucking relaxing.
Did you see how they greeted each other when they first came together in contact? High five, my wife. They literally they did a double high five.
Great success. We travel the galaxy to see you.
Mando never get this. Mando never get this.
We make great success journey from.
So during this this whole meeting, Mando, hey, he gives Mando the wave like, hey, thanks for taking care of my wife. And he's like, you bet your bippy. And then he looks over and he sees a cloaked woman. And as the passerbys go, she disappears. And he's just like, And he's like, okay, so where do I go? Go to that inn? Okay, let's go to the inn.
Go to the inn, and they get you get baby Yoda and Mando are sitting there, and the old innkeeper's like, this is a pay-in table, sir.
Right.
She's like, well, I'll have some chowder, which apparently is dispensed from a vac tube in the ceiling.
Yeah.
Some chowder for
It's
my
the same
small...
shit they eat in the Matrix, man.
Yeah, and apparently it's got a face hugger in it.
Exactly.
What the fuck is that about?
How'd that thing sneak in there?
I love and then the line, stop playing with your food.
And he stabs it.
Stabs it.
Stabs it with his knife.
Yoda's look, though, baby Yoda, the child. I like how he peers over the bowl again. He's like, what the fuck was that?
He's just getting in trouble, waiting to be bailed out. That's his little his MO.
So he does. Apparently, Mando doesn't need to eat nor drink, as we'll see in a few minutes. So he buys some information.
Well, you know why? He does intermittent fasting, clearly. You just never see him eat. He's on your guys' program.
Yeah. I eat every 72 days.
That's the question for the show. What do you think his intermittent fast split is going to be? Is it a 23-1? Is it a 20-20? Is it a 24? 16-8?
You'd think you'd see like a leftover bagel on the dashboard or something.
Are we sitting at a 24-hour?
What else does he do?
Are we at a 24-hour clock here in the Mandalorian universe?
That's a good question.
I don't think so. Because I think I remember reading once, total nerdy reading once, that on Tatooine, that their days are not the same. It's not 24 hours. It's different.
Right. Time is irrelevant when you have
There's
light
two suns,
speed.
so it's got to be twice as long. 48 hours in a day.
I don't know. They're right next to each other.
Yeah. See, I think you get. I was gonna say 48 hours. Yeah, well, 32.
Or it's just twice as bright.
Let's keep arguing about it.
What if, maybe it's a flat Earth. Maybe it's a
You
flat
get double
Earth.
shadows out of
Flat
that?
Earth.
Double shadow.
Yeah.
Wait till that eclipse comes in.
By the way, he finally gets to use his calamari flan. The shit he got from beef cargo in the first episode. Those things came back around. I love how they plant those seeds early and then they bring them back around. Still had those in his pocket.
But he could only pay half, remember? He's like, I can give you calamari flan, but I can only pay half.
That's right.
Another first negotiation fail. First episode, first fucking 5 minutes. I don't think we picked up on it then.
I mean, the guy really needs like a business class.
He's like overly pragmatic. Well, this
You're
is
a
just
hell
going
of
to
an
go
entrepreneur,
nowhere, so.
Mando.
He's like, what I don't make in money, I'm just going to do in sheer volume. Right. So you pay me 1/10 of what you promised, but I'll bring you 700 captives in 44 hours.
Right.
Doesn't
Man
even cover
can
my
be talked into anything.
The Art of the Bad Deal. That's his book.
Yeah. So it's a trap. Goes over to her table, gets a boy. He comes over. They work out a quick deal. It's only a couple hours on a boat. Come on.
And the guy's giggling like, I can get you there.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. I watching it the second time. I was like, oh, like how do you not pick up on the way he's
signs.
saying things?
Yeah.
And yeah. So then they're on the boat.
I was totally clueless. I
Were
guess
you?
you guys caught on to it. I didn't.
They're on
Second
the boat.
time I did, yeah.
And it's the shot from the trailer. They're looking over at the sea, beautiful, whatever. And he's like, hey, come over here. We got an aqua sarlacc over here. So
And Baby Yoda goes dippy-doo. He goes into the water. Like, I was totally shocked when that happened. Like, just
Totally
butt strokes him into the water.
ever see a Momocore? And then he like hockey pucks him into the fucking mouth.
That was the first gasp where I was like, whoa. I guess
okay.
in retrospect, should have seen it coming to a degree because they built up the tension because Mando was like, not that close. You know what I mean? So you knew something was brewing. But when he actually did it, and then that thing came up and swallowed him, thank God he closed what's it called again? The mobile defense.
Carriage.
The floating mobile defense carriage.
Now we've also learned two very integral things about the Mandalorian's armor and his aptitude. He's not a strong swimmer. I'll give you that. 'Cause he's sitting there holding on to the gate underneath the water, just
Like he's never swam before.
He's just floundering around.
Beskar's pretty heavy.
And apparently it's not waterproof. It's got everything else going in the galaxy. You can fly through space with it, probably but it's not SCBA qualified.
It's acid proof.
Acid proof.
And right now we're going to talk about, the Mandalorians drop from the sky and save his life, and then Sasha Banks is like, I'll get him, and dives in full armor and everything.
Better Mandalorian than he ever was.
Yeah.
You think that maybe if he just would have kicked in the jetpack, he would have been able to like self-propel underwater, or you know what I mean? Something of that nature.
There are some Beskar flippers installed.
Yeah, he got really shown up.
Well, I just like how he jumps in to save the baby, and then immediately he's like, I can't help you. Ah! Like he totally gives up on him to try to save him.
I forgot I can't swim.
I can't swim.
He's brave. He's a brave soul, though.
So these guys are stabbing at him. We're gonna get your armor, and we got this, brother. I was like, Hulk Hogan's on the ship. So they drop down, assassinate all of them, pull the grate up, pull Mando out, and he's like,
Did you see the asses on those Mandalorians though? Jesus.
Yeah, they must work out.
They were looking good. I was like, I caught a couple of glimpses. I paused it for a couple seconds. I'm like, wow.
And then you're like, oh wait, that's
armor.
the guy.
Yeah. Check out the butt on that guy.
Oopie doop.
Yeah.
So you know who these people are, though, right?
Yeah, they're the not the Night Watch,
the Night Owls.
The Night Owls, yeah.
Yes, right. Okay, which by the way, I was under the understanding that they were an all-female crew, but apparently they've times are hard. You got to expand.
Times have changed, man. I mean, you go to Tatooine, robots are running the bar.
It's true.
Now the least Mandalorians you got to start letting guys in. Yeah. Although you realize he never said a fucking word, did he?
He said a few things, including one important line in a second. But his name, Axe Woves.
Oh, man, I know.
Axe Wolves, and then did you know the other name? The Koska Reeves?
Koska Reeves, yeah, right.
Yeah, only reason I picked that up on is because I watch everything with subtitles.
Okay.
And it gave me the name.
Subtitles is a good idea. So when I went back the second time, I turned on the subtitles because you definitely catch certain parts of dialogue that you wouldn't know what the hell they're talking about if you didn't hear it.
Right.
And then sometimes it mispronounces words or it puts the wrong words in there. So.
There's quite a few important things that happen in this discussion, and then one coming up. First of all, I have to bring up the fact that we are going to need a new FMDC.
Yes.
Like that thing's fried. It's toast. It's gone. She rips the lid right off of it. Yanks. He didn't even cough up bubbles. Like that thing is waterproof.
He's gonna.
But his helmet's not.
He's gonna save it. He saved the droid. So he'll take it back to the ship and refurbish it.
Well, that's what I thought about when I watched the second episode. He flies away, and then you see the three lift off and blow the whole fucking ship up. So he's gonna have to run into a quick thrift shop, grab a new one.
I wonder if they're readily available in the universe.
He needs an Ugnaught, like you said, for all these things.
Yeah.
Does Quill have a brother?
He happens to have a twin brother, voiced by Nick Nolte. That old trope.
Quill's twin brother, Bill.
Yeah. Quill and Bill.
Bill and Quill. You were right. I did say in the credits it credited the gal who plays the lady frog woman, frog lady, with also being the Quill body.
Oh, okay.
So it is the same person.
So we find out here about the helmet. They take their helmets off. They, start having a discussion. Of course, he's like, "You're not Mandalorians," and she's like,
"You must be a child of the Watch."
He's one of them.
Yeah,
what are you
that
about?
guy says that. That's what the guy says, and he says it like with this look of just disgust. Like, here we go. He's one of them.
Yeah,
he's an alt-righter.
He definitely drank the Kool-Aid.
He's like the Catholic, and these people are like Episcopalians. That's basically what it is. They're
So, I mean, basically, there's a bit of a
Jehovah's Witness versus Church of Latter-day Saints type thing.
There you go. There's some issues going on in Mandalore that we're going to find out, but he doesn't know what she's talking about. His belief is, and watching this, we're like, why doesn't he ever take his helmet off? Because we've seen other Mandalorians who do take their helmet off. So it was a weird thing, but it almost became what we adjusted to. Mm-hmm. So everyone else is doing it wrong. Like we bought into the cult.
Well, yeah. Right. So we became members of the Scientologist community.
Exactly.
So we're right in there. But their goal is to reestablish the ancient way, apparently.
The Zealots are.
The Zealots are the children of the Watch or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I didn't look that up. I probably should have and try to get a little information on it. But
if you watch the Clone Wars, you'll get into that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just talking about Death Watch. And so the Death Watch was kind of like an extremist group that broke off from Mandalore because they didn't like the way they were running stuff.
And you were right, because when we talked in the first season, you had brought them up, thinking those were the ones that saved baby Mando.
Right.
So you were right.
Yeah. So if you go back to episode blah, blah. I don't know what episode that was of ours, but I tried to do a whole breakdown of how that all tied together once we knew that Bo-Katan was going to be in this season.
Yep. It was one of our recaps.
I do like the dual nature of Mando. He's kind of a bit of a bully, it shows, because he whoops Cobb Vance's ass for taking his helmet off and not like impersonating the Mandalore, but then he just lets them show their faces and he's like, I'll just peace out. I don't like you guys, but you're 3 really badass people. I've seen you in action. You probably whoop my ass, so I'll just get out of here.
His exit was almost like, I wanted it to be like that silly gif you see on Twitter where Homer gets mad and leaves the room and then he sticks his head up again and then he comes back. That's kind of what I was hoping for, because he drops that line like, whatever, I'm out, and just freaking bolts. I love that exit.
He's like, I'm taking my baby Yoda and I'm going home.
It's exactly what he did. But I think the reason he didn't like put up a fight or demand their armor or whatever he normally does is because he does question the armor. And she's like, buddy, this armor's been in my family for 3 generations. Like, I was born on Mandalore. I fought in the Purge. And then he's like, oh, well, you're better than me. Okay, I'll leave now. Thank you. And that's where he takes his ball and goes home. And instantly, so he's on shore. He sees the ship blow up. He turns around.
Great scene, by the way. That was freaking awesome.
It reminded me of The Force Awakens, where we see the TIE fighters coming in with the sun behind them. Yeah. You know? Good job, JJ.
That was a cool look.
So he's walking in the dark shipyards again, and the Quarren, right? Quarren, yeah, they come out.
By the way, they're not getting a very good look here in this whole series. They're kind of looking like the bullies.
Right.
They're very plentiful, though. There's a lot of them.
There is. Yeah, I love the one guy that walks out and he like flexes his fucking arms.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, oh, okay, Superman.
Time to kick
Mission
some
Impossible.
ass.
Yeah. So, but you killed my brother, and he repeats it, and I'm like, what? Did you get a phone call? Like, it happened 15 seconds ago.
My name is Quarren. You killed my brother. Prepare to die.
Now prepare to die.
I am not left-handed. He starts fighting him. So we get to see some dual wielding of the blasters coming up, right? So channeling Sabine from Rebels, right?
Yeah.
The two blasters coming out. I like that look. That was kind of cool.
They all draw their guns at the same time, take them all out. What? 17 shots, 2 seconds.
They're
very
efficient,
precise.
if anything. Yeah, very precise.
Yeah, they are not stormtroopers.
Very committed.
They can hit a bantha.
Yeah, they could hit the broadside of a bantha or a blurg if they needed to.
Right.
Oh boy, it makes an appearance.
So Dead. She offers to buy him a drink, and I'm like, what's he drinking out of? This isn't happening. Cut to the bar. They're back in the inn. They're having some drinks and they're talking, and this is where we get a bunch of information. You know, I guess. We're finding out the planet is, what does she say? This is
Trask.
But it's
black market port.
Exactly, Trask is a black market port. So she explains they're smuggling guns. You know, the remnants of the Empire, or whatever. This is the ports that they're using. We're trying to take over Mandalore back, and he questions that and says,
Seating
"Well,
Mandalorian on the throne, right?"
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So we're starting to get some history. We still don't know what has happened, and there's a lot more questions as when we get onto the ship there to what she alludes to, but. Of course, he's willing to just, all right, I'll help you out.
Well, yeah, because she's like, yeah, I can lead you to. She says something about I can lead you to one of their kind, because he mentions the Jedi. She goes, what do you know about him? He's like, nothing.
Yeah.
And so she says she can lead him to one of their kind. Then of course she's like, but you got to go on a mission. He's like, a mission? God damn it. Okay, fine.
I'm waiting for him to stop and like break the third wall. Another mission.
Yeah.
Wink. Yeah, can you wink in that helmet? I don't know.
Just a little gleam shows through the eye. Bing.
But like I know we're giving this episode shit, but this episode is fantastic, and I love how the information is like. I mean, the dialogue is so fast and so filled with information, and it's just let's move on to the next scene, and like shit just keeps happening. So before he goes, they do their attack on the ship. He's got to drop the baby off at the babysitters.
That's right.
So he goes back to the frog people, just like he knows where they're living. Knocks on the door, lets himself in, drops the baby. Doesn't speak a fucking lick of word to them, like language wise. They don't understand each other.
I know he's eaten 7 of your children, but would you mind watching him for a few hours while I go hijack this cargo?
She has no idea. See, she has no idea how many children that he ate. She was not keeping track of the eggs, and she never really saw him do it. So I think she doesn't understand just how dangerous it is to have Baby Yoda around her eggs. But because all of a sudden one of the eggs hatches, and all of a sudden Baby Yoda's in love with the frogs.
Yes.
He wants to stay and play with his new buddies.
Yes.
But not at the end. So this is attack on the ship. The stormtroopers are out on these like outside balconies. They get blasted off.
Did you guys hear the line?
Yeah, the Wilhelm scream.
Nope. Look over there. Stop him. He does that. Did you guys hear that? It's from either 4 or 5. Okay. I can't remember. But yeah, it's immediately as soon as I heard it, one of the stormtroopers said that exact line of dialogue, and I'm like, I've heard that before.
Nice. Yeah, once you get a battle with stormtroopers going, I'm so excited. Like it harkens back the same exact suits and everything. So when they attacked, I was real excited.
Yeah, so they start making the way. The Mandalorians start making their way downtown, making their way through the. It's not a troop transport, like a cargo transport, right?
Right.
Like off-world.
It is a Gazanti freighter.
Gazanti freighter,
which we saw in Rebels.
Correct.
So my favorite move of the entire thing, of the entire battle, was the smoke grenade infrared move. I thought that was fucking
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool because it switched right into the infrared, and then they started just blasting through the smoke and killing the stormtroopers. And the stormtroopers are so inaccurate, unless they're trying to take Mando down.
They were dead shot then, weren't they?
As he's truck sticking through the blaster fire with like 7 grenades in his hand.
Don't drop one of these, you'll regret it.
Barely a nick on him, by the way. That Beskar is just unbelievable. It's like a tank.
Very serendipitous that he never got a single blaster shot through the seams. Like nothing under the armpit, nothing in the right here. Like,
But they make their way into the cargo area. You start seeing the guns, and then she changes the plan on them. So they get into a little bit of argument, and he's like, "Look, that's not the plan. You got to give me the information." She's like, "No, we're taking the whole ship, not just the weapons." And so I loved it before because like they get stuck in between the 2 bay doors or whatever, and they're talking to the captain like, "Oh, we've got him trapped." Where?
Yeah, his pause. Where?
Yep. And all of a sudden the cargo door opens. They get sucked out. Now, this is Titus Welliver, so I was like, oh, Titus Welliver's in this? We know we're going to... So either we know he's going to die right away, or we know he's going to be around for quite some time. So I'm excited, And
he's so cool. The way he's handling everything, he's just Mr. Calm. Everything's just by the book,
And then old Bo-Katan hits him with the line, "Put some tea on, we'll be up in a minute." Like she just tells him, like, "Hey, we're on our way.
Well,
You're
even
not gonna stop us."
when they get the first time she gives it back to him to Mando, he's quite something.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah,
and she just kind of gives him that look. And walks
she's
away.
totally just mocking him left and right.
Mm-hmm.
It was hilarious. But by the way, I love how the captain and this was part of the plan originally by the Mandalorian or by the Night Owls as well. The captain's like, "Can we start rising into the atmosphere now?" And he's like, "Well, I can't until we're out of the harbor." And he's like, just do it.
Yeah.
Which I love because it's like the part of the plan is based on the fact that they're going to follow the harbor rules.
Exactly.
Under attack.
It's like you can't leave
Tatooine.
have any wake. You can't leave Tatooine. They haven't figured out what to do with the crate dragon meat.
You're inside the buoys. You cannot gun it. It's just so.
It's a no wake zone, sir. Yeah, and like I love that they're following the harbor protocol.
But they catch on real quick. Oh, we're going up. So they make a run for it. That's when all the gunshots come at him. He blows them all up. They make way through the door. And this was okay. So all of a sudden we get the FaceTime hologram phone call. Moff Gideon pops up. He's like, "What's going on? Are these the same people who've given us trouble before?" "I think so." "Okay, you know what to do." Beep.
Long live the Empire.
Long live the Empire. When Gideon came on in the hologram there, that was a smile moment. I was like, yes, thank God he's back. But waiting for him.
Yes.
It took too long to get there.
I love that he assassinates his pilots and then he's taken over right away. So he takes like it's like the electric chair in pill form.
It's like electronic cyanide. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just like kills himself. So
he's going to kamikaze the ship into the ground, but apparently it takes much longer to descend than it does to ascend because they're basically in a nosedive for 7 minutes straight.
Right. It's the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like them pulling out in the Memphis Belle. I likened it to the Memphis Belle. They had to pull out.
There we go.
There you go.
But yes, she calls out the saber. She tells him, "I'm going to keep you alive because I want to know if he's got the saber." And he's like, "If you're asking me, you know." And that's when he kills himself.
Yep. So she knows where it is. So we know she needs the saber to reclaim the throne on Mandalore. Yep. So we're gonna, we've got a couple of stories going on here. We've got whatever this group of Mandalorians are up to. We've got him on his mission. Ahsoka's in this. I mean, she name drops Ahsoka right now. So she says, "Okay, exciting." Yeah, because she says she wants him to come with. He's like, "I can't. I've got a mission. I've got something I've got to do." "Well, okay, so I'll give you. You're gonna find on the 4th planet of blah blah blah." I didn't get the name of it.
It was the forest planet of Caladan. Or sorry, the forest planet of Caladan.
That's what it was.
No, it's the forest city of Caladan.
Yeah,
on the planet of Corvus.
Forest planet of Corvus. Caladan is the city. You're right. Sorry, my bad.
Which are brand new locales.
Yeah, I looked them up. I didn't see anything other than the Corvus thing. It was like a ship at some point, but that was it. I didn't see anything else for it. So.
Right.
And apparently they were looking for the Dark Saber, right? Is that what she was after?
Yeah, she actually, the
Yes.
last time we've seen the Dark Saber, she was the one that had it.
She got it from Sabine.
Yeah.
Doesn't she know that they can win the replica on the Fakba?
There you go.
If
We've
she
got
only
them.
She
knew.
doesn't.
If she
If she
only
only
knew.
sent in a review, she'd
Do
be
a review.
5 right away. Yeah.
Yeah, pull your phone out. Do a review right now. You might get a chance.
She probably got it built right into her Mandalorian like armor somewhere. Just pushes a button,
There we go.
reviews the Fakba.
Get all the owls to write in reviews.
Retweet. Yeah.
And that's it. That's where we leave off. Like, he goes back, he picks up the kid. He says, I've got enough pets. He's got, another line as they're walking out. He's petting the little frog, picks him up. Thanks for watching him. Walks out and says, Yoda's yapping at him. He's, no, I've got enough pets already.
Baby Yoda's playing house with the baby frogs,
Mhm.
and he snatches them up, and then they go back to the bubblegum machine.
Oh,
That's been
man.
cobbled together.
I
They're back
duct
to
tape
Razor
and
That's where I
ropes.
laughed. They got all these fucking, like, it looks like it's held together by yarn.
Where's the
Yeah.
spider? Where'd the spider come from? Just random.
I think it was from
When it
the
went
ship
underwater.
tipping underneath. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So it was still chilling in there.
A lot of face huggers and spiders in this episode. It's
No,
kinda-
was it? Were we supposed to believe? I took it as because he got it working again, right? So was that seaweed and shit all over the place, or was that like wiring going from one thing to another instead of like doing it like pretty? It was just a bunch of like wires and shit to make the electrical panels work again.
I was thinking less about the panels and just the structure itself. Like, it looked like they were just trying to tie everything together to hold the thing together.
Okay.
And so that's how I took it. I mean, there's like weird like netting and stuff that's all over the place. And I love
Even
how
the
he's
door when it opens.
yeah, it's a terrible sound. And I just love how he's like, Mon Calamari, unbelievable.
Yep.
Gave him 1,000 credits. But that's par for the course for Mandalorian. He overpays for everything.
It was such a fast episode, but so good. Now, where does this leave us? Because we know there's an episode yet before Filoni gets to play with Ahsoka, right? Live action Ahsoka. So I'm still saying she's going to show up at the end of the next episode.
Agreed.
But I feel like there's a mission to be had here somewhere because the ship still isn't working. He only makes it halfway. He's got to stop for gas, something.
Well, who's directing the next episode? Carl Weathers.
Oh, well,
Oh.
okay.
He is alleged to be directing the next episode because he mentioned
right.
something about the 4th episode.
Yep.
So I think they're going to Navarro, and
Yep.
I think that scene where you see him meet Cara Dune and Grief is gonna be in this episode. I don't know what they're gonna do. He's got to get his ship fixed. He probably needs to go talk to the armor and be like, "So I met these people, and they're telling me you can take the helmet off. What the fuck?"
My whole life has been a lie.
Right. She's not going to be there. He's
This
going to
whole
write her
time?
a note.
I could have taken it off this whole time.
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of unclear as
I'm
to.
fairly pretty underneath this helmet. Look, you've taken away my good years.
Only IG-11 seen me. That's it.
What if he takes it off and it's John Stamos? Just fucking handsome. handsome devil.
John Stamos.
Everyone's just like, oh. Well, you got to have someone compete with Timothy Olyphant for the
That's
best
right.
looking
Yeah.
Mandalorian in the galaxy. Jesus.
Best hair when removed after removed helmet. Yeah, I just think that it has to be a whole sequence on Navarro or something where he goes to Navarro and they go somewhere else, and then he's going to get to the final destination, and you're going to see Ahsoka at the very last part of the episode is the
Agreed.
cliffhanger to the next episode. And we haven't seen Cara and Grief yet, and they were
Right.
huge characters in the first season, so we have to see them next episode. I would think.
Yep. And it would make sense, like, because I'm thinking, like, when do these two fit in? They're on all the posters again. They're all the marketing for the show. We're 3 episodes in, we haven't seen half the cast yet, so that makes sense. And then he takes them with him, and then, but like really, we saw the sideways. Like what do they call that? They call that I can't remember the side angle frame. Kenneth Branagh used it in Thor like crazy. I can't remember that angle. Dutch angle, I think it's called. We're going down the hallway. Sorry for
You're
the
thinking Dutch
stormtroopers, right?
oven, aren't you?
Sorry,
It's like a Dutch rudder.
Dutch rudder. That too.
but that's the shot with the stormtroopers running down the hallway, right? So
Yes.
we've got that out of the trailer. We got the boat out of the. So almost the only thing we are missing now is the breakout.
It's the break, yeah. The meeting with
Yeah.
with Cara and Grief, and then the breakout, and which could
I
be this
think is
episode
this
as as a mission to do whatever he needs to do, or that might come later. I'm not sure, but it seems like it would seem logical for it to come next. Which, if that's the case, they only showed us trailer stuff from the first half of the season. The second half is totally wide open.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe the
excites
money.
me.
Maybe the money that he needs is to restore the Razor Crest because it's so
Could be.
fucking beat up.
Boom. There we
Could be
go.
that. I feel like that's not likely though.
We're gonna need a new ship. Well, that guy might be pretty nice with his money if you break him out of prison. So
true.
Okay, so speculation. I think we're all settled on that. We know we're going to Navarro. He's bringing Brief and Kara with him, and we'll see Ahsoka soon enough. I'm excited.
One other question: do you think we see Boba again this year? I don't think we do.
Well, I don't know how it would fit in. Although we don't know what the rest of the season holds, but why go back to Tatooine? Right. Yeah, you're right. And they gave us a little bit of the tease in episode 5, 6. We just the feet
5,
and then in this one you see him. I mean, really, it's going to take them 12 seasons to actually show all of them.
Well, it could have been it could have been Cobb Vanth too in that episode 5.
Right? Yeah, it was.
I thought you said it was Boba Fett.
Well, it was. We saw the armor. It was Boba Fett, but then we find out it was Cobb. But then at the end of this first episode,
we didn't find out it was Cobb for sure, right?
We don't know for sure, but you're assuming because of the fact that he had the spurs and kind of had the same that he had the armor on.
Yeah, it had to be Cobb.
But I just think that we're going to see. I think this is all slow build to show Boba later, and also as now a precursor to his series.
Correct. Yeah. So
right.
Next week, no Maul bag this week, listeners. You have failed us epically. So now every one of you listening need to send us an email next week. We're going to spend half the show reading emails. Thank you.
And I made a bumper that is of the utmost quality.
You did.
Yes, it is
high quality.
And we can't use it until you bring your mail. So come on, man. You can send us mail at factpapod@gmail.com, just as a reminder. You can also, we count it as Maul's bag if you just DM us as well. You could do that at factpapod on Twitter. So either one of those work. So send us something and we'll take a look at it. The only emails we got this week were related to our T-shirt giveaway.
Is that all it was like just the code word and they said nothing else? No love the show, nothing, just...
I can look it up. Hold on one second.
Here we go. We just we're going to give you the word. That's it.
Yeah, don't be afraid to just, tell us how you feel, listeners.
Right.
You don't have to just come in, code word. Thank you.
In fact, look those up. If there's not anything but the code word, they're going to get put into the batch for next week.
Well, so here's what they are. Wesley sent in, do we really need yet another Blurg reference? That was his mail.
Okay, fair enough.
And Jeannie said, Blurg! It has to be all caps for the enthusiastic yelling of Blurg!
Okay, well, you could have played your drop.
I could have.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. So who wins the shirt? Maybe they both need to get shirts.
You could just give 2 away, right?
Yeah, let's just do 2.
There you go.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they took the time to send us terrible emails, but they took the time, so we're going to give them a T-shirt.
All right, you each get a T-shirt. Email us your addresses so we can send
Matt, if they want to purchase a shirt on their own, where could they do that?
Well, so if you go to our website, it's on there as well, and it's in our show notes. If you're listening to this on your podcatcher, you would see it there. We actually have 2 stores because I meant to switch us over from TeePublic to Teespring. So there's 2 that are out there. And the TeePublic one, teepublic.com/user /from-a-certain-point-askew. So go to the show notes.
There you go. Yeah, you're listening to it right now. Just click the link. All right, perfect. Okay, so let's wrap this up. We've got a factoid or factoid. I'm reading the Star Wars book yesterday, and it's just called the Star Wars book. Matt and I both have bought it. It's the blue book, shows the Death Star on the front, and it's like the encyclopedia, the Star Wars encyclopedia. What are you laughing at?
I was just scrolling through from a certain point of skew.com and I saw Winky and the Wookiee. It just made me crack up.
That's pretty good.
That's a callback to episode 8. Episode 8.
Winky and the Wookiee.
The most preposterous scenario in the world. Wasn't it Ray? It's supposed to be called Winky.
She's supposed to be Winky.
Yeah, I mean, come on, George.
Sorry about the tangent, folks. Matt, you at your leisure cut this out if you want.
No. This all stays in.
Okay, so this will bring a little bit of discussion. So I'm reading the book last night. I really should have gone to bed, but I stumbled across something that I think is a fucking spoiler. So in the book, it starts talking about the Jedi powers, different, for the light side, the dark side, and who can do what and what powers come. And they talk about, it's called a dyad, which is 2 Force users who are linked, and it happens like every couple of generations. It says, which apparently might be a lie, but with that, so that's where Rey and Kylo can, see each other. They can move shit. She hands him a lightsaber, and he can fight the Knights of Ren in it. Like they but only those that are in a dyad can heal.
Okay.
Right?
That's where she heals the snake.
Yes, and then she heals Kylo, and then Kylo heals her, gives him all of his force powers, and dies, so she lives again. So now, if only those in a dyad can heal, we've already seen Baby Yoda heal.
Who's he dyading with?
Right, exactly.
Who's he canoodling? Who's Baby Yoda canoodling with?
Apparently, he's not connected to someone yet, or that he's aware of, but we've seen him use force powers. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? Do you think that's a mess up, or do you think that's like not all are connected to a dyad? But the book says if you are in a dyad, you can heal.
I'm hoping it's not one of the facehugger species or one of the frogs people species, because he's been wreaking havoc on that species of particular
Maybe
alien.
he already ate his dyad.
He's like, did you say healing? I thought you said eating. My bad. I have been a little hesitant on the whole dyad concept in general. I don't know what it is about it. It just didn't. It's just something I'm like, is this real? Is this really a thing? I feel like I can't totally buy into it. I don't know why. So I'm struggling with this theory.
You saw it happen in 3 movies. What's not real about it?
But I just thought it was something else. And so when they didn't really explain it until the third one of why that was happening. And so I just thought, is this just thrown in? Why are we doing this? I don't know. I struggled with the dyad concept.
Okay. So
I know that's a shit answer, but that's
you're not okay. But per the book,
yes.
If you're in a dyad, you also heal. Mm-hmm. So if that book, it's the Star Wars book, then that would lead us to believe that there's another,
else.
And maybe there is
another.
Maybe that's what gives Baby Yoda his importance to Moff Gideon.
So he thinks, but does he know that he's looking for the dyad? He's looking for their partner?
Possibly.
That could be. That could be it. Because we know, we're pretty sure Gideon is not part of that dyad.
Oh. No?
I don't think. Do you think so? Maybe, I don't think he's force sensitive. That's just my guess.
So you think he's just waving around a dark saber to look cool?
Well, you don't have to be force sensitive to have a dark saber.
That's true.
And also, we talked about him before, kind of having a little bit of Thrawn-ishness to him, and real precise and cold-blooded and all that, and just like meticulously planned out and everything. I kind of feel like he's more in that realm than an actual force user.
Did we talk about the theory the last episode about? Okay,
we did not.
No,
about how he might want Yoda to navigate to find Thrawn.
Correct. Yes,
that was one that I've seen thrown out there. That Gideon is trying to find Thrawn to help him rebuild the Empire, and he's in the unknown regions. Which, by the way, I meant to mention this too. Sidebar: we're going to go see Ahsoka Tano. Last time we saw her, she was with Sabine looking for Ezra, and that was not too terribly long ago. So from the timeline we're on in The Mandalorian. So that just makes you think, are we going to see somebody else? Is Sabine going to be there? Is Ezra going to be there? I don't think so. Ezra. Sabine is a possibility. I don't think Ezra.
Right. I think that's a story that will be saved to be actually told instead of just, we're all together.
Huge party.
I mean,
pool party.
You end Rebels on such a cliffhanger, and then you come in Mandalorian. They're in one episode together. Like, we found each other. It wasn't a big deal. We left Thrawn out there by himself. So yeah, the theory is that these Force users can be used to like power
to navigate the unknown regions, because they're not charted.
Exactly.
So instead of doing like hyperspace through an uncharted territory and running into something, like Han Solo explains in the very first in A New Hope, where he had to lock in the coordinates of the Navicomputer, you could run into can't remember what he says.
It's not like dusting for craps back home, boy, right?
Yeah, exactly. That whole sequence.
Did you see the other theory going around last week? And Grant, who was on the live show with us a couple of episodes ago, it was his, like, he texted me right after watching it, and he said this, and I'm like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. And then I saw it popping up all over the internet, and I'm like, all right, did you go read something somewhere? Because a lot of people are saying this, but the idea was that Baby Yoda knew that the creatures, the eggs, were the last of them. He wanted to protect them, so he was we never saw him chew, so he was swallowing them to carry them himself. And I'm like, there's no way they're going to get to their destination. He's going to puke up 82 eggs. Like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And it started getting traction. And I'm like, if this fucking happens, I'm going to be so mad, because I like the idea of him, he doesn't know any better. He's hungry. It looks like food. He's going to eat it.
Yeah, he's like Mouth in Goonies when he's hiding all the jewels and his pearls in his mouth. At some point, you didn't see this; it was off camera, but the fish weren't looking, and he just went. Just all of them went in.
Jesus.
Well, apparently he's not allergic to seafood. All right, listeners, we'll see you next week with another episode, episode 4. We'll find out if we were right with Beef and Kara, whatever their mission is before they end up to Ahsoka. In the next episode, we'll find out if we're right as far as that as well. But
enter for that saber, man. Enter
yes.
for that saber. Get after it.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Until next time.
Never tell us the odds.
You must do what you feel is right, of course.
We have spoken.